Most people start running the moment they wake up, as if they're late for something, as if the whole world is slipping away. Phones light up, screens flash, voices overlap. One email, one notification, one more plan. And before they even feel the calm of morning, they're already swallowed by chaos. The world rushes in before their eyes can even adjust to the light. But Marcus Aurelius did the opposite. Nothing. He waited. Just 10 minutes. He didn't speak. He didn't write. He didn't plan. He simply stopped, and that nothing was everything. Because those 10 minutes of silence didn't hold up the Roman Empire. They held up himself, a secret method only he understood. Today, we'll uncover this paradox. How do you gain everything by doing nothing? How did an emperor rule for a lifetime? By standing still for just 10 minutes at dawn? That's what we'll understand today. For Marcus Aurelius, morning was the beginning of battle. Every reaction, every emotion in those first moments set the tone for the rest of the day. He knew this well. For him, each sunrise meant a new war, not against others, but against his own mind, the hardest battlefield of all. When he opened his eyes, while Rome still slept, he sat alone, in silence, breathing, not thinking. That moment was pure stillness, no movement, no sound, not even a single thought passing through. Because Marcus knew, the first minute of the morning shapes the entire day. The fate of the day depends on those 10 minutes. And what determines that fate is not plans or ambitions, but the stillness of the mind. In that brief silence, he cut his ties with yesterday. For him, the day was new. Yesterday is over, he would say. Today, I am reborn to face himself again. During those 10 minutes, he did nothing, yet built something greater than an empire, mental order. And through that order, he ruled for 19 years. Because when a man begins his day in noise, he spends the rest of it searching for himself. But when he begins it in silence, he finds himself. He hears his inner voice, and that voice always whispers the truth. Marcus's silence was not an escape. It was preparation, armor for the battles of the mind to come. In that silence, he gathered awareness, aligned his thoughts, and fortified his focus. The first light of day, he wrote, is the quietest battlefield, and the war fought there is not against others, but against one's own chaos. What was 10 ordinary minutes for us was sacred ground for him. In those minutes, he issued no commands. Only clarity was born. The morning of Rome was shaped by the silence of one man. The silence before the noise is the purest power, because in that moment, your thoughts do not command you. You command them. That's why Marcus woke each day, not as an emperor, but as a philosopher. He didn't decide what he would do, but who he would be. Each morning, ask yourself, will I surrender to the noise of the world today, or will I first lead myself through silence? Those 10 minutes of silence are not a habit. They are a throne, and whoever sits upon it rules the day. Whoever doesn't becomes a slave to his own mind. Marcus Aurelius made no decisions in the morning because he knew the first thought that comes to your mind isn't yours. It's just the noise left over from sleep. That's why he never made decisions right after waking. He waited until later in the day, until his mind became his own again. When a person wakes up, they rise together with last night's worries. Those fears, those unfinished thoughts, don't disappear when the sun rises. They follow you. An unfinished conversation, an unsaid sentence, a quiet anxiety. They all linger in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to return. And before you even realize it, they start steering your mind. But Marcus had discovered this trap early. That's why his first act each morning was not to think, but to observe. He sat down, took a deep breath, and watched every thought in his mind as if it belonged to someone else. He had understood this game centuries ago. We, on the other hand, are its newest victims, because the moment we wake up, we reach for our phones. Every notification, every video, reminds us of something from yesterday. And before we know it, we start asking ourselves questions. Is this thought really mine, or just a leftover from yesterday? Is this worry real, or just a shadow in my mind? And the moment we start asking these questions, yesterday's emotions quietly take control. They steer us, and we don't even notice. Marcus, however, interrogated his own mind each morning. Just as an emperor restores order in his palace, he restored order within his thoughts. Every thought had its time and place, because one cannot rule the mind without first learning how to watch it. There is no awareness without observation, and no freedom without awareness, Marcus once wrote. The mind grows calm once it is seen. Chaos only expands when left unseen. But we do the opposite. We begin our mornings blind to this chaos and hand ourselves over to the world. The moment we open our eyes, we look at a glowing screen and swallow other people's thoughts, a message, a headline, a face, and before we're even truly awake, we've already drifted away from ourselves. That's why Marcus treated those 10 minutes as sacred. In that time, he listened, not to the world, but to himself. He made no decisions, no plans. He simply observed. He watched the rhythm of his breath, the direction of his thoughts, the color of his emotions. He didn't suppress them. He witnessed them. A man's greatest mistake, he said, is to feel what he thinks instead of thinking what he feels. Marcus understood that difference. Suppressing emotion doesn't destroy it. It feeds it. But observing it breaks its power. That's why silence was his weapon. In that silence, thoughts didn't scream, they whispered. And in that whisper, a man begins to truly hear himself. Every morning, within those 10 minutes, Marcus questioned himself. Why am I uneasy today? What is this worry trying to tell me? Is what I fear truly in front of me or inside me? When he found those answers, his mind would begin to calm, because thoughts weaken when seen, but grow stronger when repressed. A man cannot rule his mind without first observing it, and Marcus knew this well. He never judged his thoughts. When one appeared, he didn't reject it, didn't suppress it, didn't claim it. He just watched. Because to a Stoic, thoughts aren't enemies, they're teachers. Each one carries a lesson, a direction, a test. If you feel impatient today, nature is reminding you to practice patience. If you feel anger, it's a sign that your lesson is not yet complete. Marcus listened to these silent teachers. In the first 10 minutes of morning, he didn't fight his mind. He conversed with it. This wasn't meditation. It was discipline. We, however, do the opposite. We start speaking too soon. Before we've even left the bed, we're already thinking, planning, worrying. But a mind that speaks cannot listen. And a mind that cannot listen will never understand. Marcus reversed this. He listened before speaking, observed before acting, felt before deciding. That's why his thoughts were sharp, his decisions simple, and his influence eternal, because they were all born from silence. Observation is the first door to awareness. If you don't pass through it in the morning, your mind will drag you through the day. Marcus passed through that door every dawn, and beyond it, he found an empire. Not an empire of thoughts, but of awareness. Tomorrow morning, do nothing. Just observe your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts, and whisper to yourself, today, I will not rush. I will see myself first. Because the one who begins his day with observation rules it, but the one who begins with thought becomes its slave. For Marcus Aurelius, The first light of dawn was a kind of judgment, but that judgment was never for others. It was for himself. Each morning, he stood before his own inner court, questioning the emotions left behind from yesterday, because he knew the heaviest courtroom a man will ever face is his own mind, and every morning he must appear before it. If emotions do not stand trial there, they will become the judge and you the guilty. That's why Marcus made no decisions when he first opened his eyes. No orders, no thoughts, no plans, only breathing. A few slow, steady breaths. Then he built his mental court and whispered to himself, "Yesterday is dead. Today, I am reborn." This sentence was the foundation of his morning ritual. It erased the residue of yesterday's thoughts. To be reborn each morning, but as someone slightly new. To leave behind the anger, the mistakes, the disappointments of the day before. Because he knew, a mind burdened by the past cannot carry the present. Each morning, Marcus cleaned his mind as if it were a temple. In that temple, he neither prayed nor protested. He simply restored order. He promised himself not to rule the outer world first, but his inner one. Cleanse your mind. The world will dirty itself without your help. This was his inner law. And every morning, he gave 10 minutes to this one act, rebuilding order within his own mind. While Rome echoed with 1,000 voices, he arranged the silence within. Some men prepared for work, some for war. Marcus prepared for consciousness. Before beginning his day, he established his inner headquarters, because he knew an army that doesn't prepare in the morning will never see the sunset. He performed this silent preparation like a ceremony. The first few minutes, just breathing. Then came awareness. He noticed the fragments left behind, yesterday's anger, last week's thoughts, tomorrow's fears. And one by one, he let them go. He didn't suppress them, but he refused to carry them. As he released each one, he whispered, "This no longer belongs to me." It wasn't forgetfulness, it was cleansing, what he called mental reset. Like clearing a battlefield after war, he swept the debris of thought from his mind. Because even when quiet, the mind is never empty. It gathers through the night and spills over during the day. And those who start their morning unaware of that overflow spend the evening wondering why they're exhausted. Marcus understood this. If the mind isn't cleaned, thoughts rot. And a rotten thought is the most dangerous weapon. That's why he kept his mind fresh every morning. For a Stoic, this was sacred, as vital as breath itself, because a clean mind calms the heart. And once the heart is calm, no battle can defeat you. From every inner war, he emerged victorious. Rebuild your mind every morning, he wrote, for yesterday's dust clouds today's clarity. And a clouded mind cannot make clear decisions. We, however, do the opposite. We drag yesterday's arguments into today's plans. A message, a memory, a worry. They all pile up. They become sediment in the mind. And without realizing it, we begin each day carrying that weight. But Marcus was different. Before his day began, he filtered his thoughts. Which ones mattered? Which ones didn't? He refined them like a philosopher and simplified them like a warrior. His ritual of mental renewal had 3 steps. 1. Awareness. Recognize which thoughts are trying to control you, because an unseen thought is a chain. 2. Acceptance. Don't suppress the thought. Acknowledge it. Say, yes, you're here, but you are not me. 3. Release. Let the mind empty itself without resistance, because a full mind cannot learn, understand, or feel. And in that moment, Marcus's mind reset, clear, simple, still. Every decision that followed those 10 minutes was not born of battle, but of wisdom. Modern man wakes up and immediately begins to fill himself. Coffee, news, plans, noise, anxiety. But no one thinks to empty first. Yet emptiness is the breath of consciousness. That was Marcus's secret. Don't try to fill yourself until you've emptied yourself. 10 minutes of stillness, of doing nothing, of clearing the mind, is not meditation, it's governance. Because the one who governs his mind governs the noise of the world, but the one who neglects inner order collapses at the smallest stress. Marcus understood this. That's why every morning, he was not first the emperor of Rome, but the emperor of himself. Tomorrow morning, when your alarm rings, don't rush to rise. Sit, breathe, and say only one sentence. Yesterday is over. That's all. In that moment, your mind begins to reset. And without realizing it, you take your first step on Marcus Aurelius's path. Because every act of awareness born in the silence of morning creates balance that lasts all day, and that balance becomes your invisible armor. For Marcus Aurelius, morning was not just a beginning, it was a throne. But to sit on that throne, one had to first earn silence. Without silence, there can be no wisdom. And without wisdom, a man cannot rule himself, because he knew, to rule the day, you must first rule yourself. As the first light of dawn brushed Rome's marble walls, while the city still murmured in half-sleep, Marcus would take up his pen and write a single line. Sometimes just one word, today. Sometimes a sentence, today I will meet my fate. That simple line was his daily vow to himself. It may have seemed small, yet it was the foundation of an empire, a foundation that still has not fallen. Because Marcus transformed the silence of morning into awareness. To him, beginning the day was never a reflex. It was a ritual. Marcus never gave orders, not even to himself. He simply guided, noticed, reminded. Because he understood. The role of a leader is not to know what to do, but to remember who he will be while doing it. In those first few minutes of morning, he didn't think about battle plans, nor the empire's endless problems. He asked only one question: who do I choose to be today? In that moment, he decided: a warrior, a philosopher, a father, a student. Each day, he summoned a different side of himself. Because whoever you wake up as, you remain for the rest of the day. We, on the other hand, enter the world without even remembering who we are. A notification, a task, a plan, and by evening, we wonder why we feel restless. Only then do we realize we started the day too late. Marcus never made that mistake. He began his day not with the commands of the outer world, but with the awareness of the inner one. Morning is the rebirth of the soul, he wrote in Meditations, and every soul that is reborn must first remember where it belongs. That's why, in the quiet of dawn, he refused to accept any thought that wasn't truly his. He would ask himself, does this thought belong to me? If the answer was no, he let it go. Fear, let it go. Ambition, let it go. Anger, let it go. This simplicity was the essence of his discipline, because where the mind simplifies, power emerges. His mornings were silent, but that silence was not empty. It was filled with the warmth of awareness, like the glow of a single candle, small but guiding. He defined awareness like this: he who becomes aware of himself rules the world. He who tries to become aware of the world loses himself. Marcus's morning awareness was like an inner briefing. Before an emperor sends his army into the field, he strategizes. Marcus, before sending his mind into the day, spoke with it. Today will bring challenges, he would say. People will be selfish. Some will act unjustly. Some will not understand. And then he would add, but I will remain calm. It wasn't a prayer. It was a reminder, because he knew a Stoic's greatest weapon is never to forget himself. We, however, wake and move instantly, but action without awareness is just directionless noise. Marcus reversed that. He never took a step before anchoring his awareness, because even an emperor should not utter a word before aligning his mind. He summarized that alignment simply: the world hurries. The wise wait. Those 10 minutes of waiting were not idleness. They were preparation to align the mind, to calm the heart, to arrange thought in order, because Marcus knew the one who aligns himself cannot be shaken by the world. Today, modern man wakes and rushes to catch up. He chases time, schedules, plans, and deadlines, but in doing so, he loses awareness. Marcus Aurelius' secret was simple. He didn't try to manage time. He aligned himself, because time bends to awareness. The awareness born in morning silence sets the course for the entire day. And once that course is drawn true, no storm can throw you off it. Tomorrow morning, when your alarm rings, try Marcus's way. Before you stand up, rest your hands on your knees. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, who do I choose to be today? Don't answer, just feel it, because that feeling will guide you. Begin your day not with command, but with awareness, and you'll notice the day no longer carries you. You carry it. One of Marcus Aurelius' most pondered concepts was time, because every moment of the empire was a decision, and every decision had a consequence. But he realized anyone who tried to manage time would eventually become its slave, even if they got what they wanted at first. True wisdom lies not in controlling time, but in living in harmony with it. One morning, he wrote in his journal, "Stop chasing time. Walk with it, for it is part of nature. If you try to control it or enslave it, you will lose." For Marcus, time was like a river. The more you tried to hold it, the more it slipped through your fingers. But when you let it flow, it carried you where you needed to go. That's why the first 10 minutes of the morning were sacred to him, because in those moments, time expanded. For modern man, 10 minutes is nothing. But for Marcus, it was a universe. Because during those 10 minutes, he did nothing. And that's exactly why he achieved everything. He would sit in the morning silence, watching the face of time. He would look at the flame of a candle, watch the light filtering through the curtains, and realize this: time does not flow outside. It flows inside your mind. When the mind is scattered, minutes fly by. But when the mind is centered, a minute becomes an eternity. Marcus Aurelius did not magnify time. He magnified the depth within time. For a Stoic, every moment was the only moment that could be lived. He did not dwell on the past, nor did he dwell on the future. He only tried to master the now, because the past is an echo, the future is a dream, and only the now is an action. That's why he never started his mornings with a plan. He only remembered this sentence: this moment is a part of eternity. Breathing in that moment was not just a reflex, it was awareness. With every breath, he was reborn. With every breath, he rebuilt Rome's destiny. Today, we measure time with calendars, minutes, hours, notifications. But for Marcus, time was measured by the pulse of awareness. The more aware you are of a moment, the longer you live. That's why every morning he would sit in silence, doing only this, waiting. But this was no ordinary waiting. It was a waiting that deepened time. The master of time is the person who knows how to wait. Marcus knew this. If a commander lost his patience on the battlefield, he would lose not his army, but his spirit. But the patient one drew time to his side. In those morning moments, even Marcus's thoughts seemed to move in slow motion. A word, a breath, an idea, all flowed without touching time. Because his secret was simple. You can't stop time, but you can stand within it. And that's exactly what he did. He stood within time, not letting it pass without feeling it. This way, he collected thousands of moments every day. But these moments were not loud, they were silent. In Marcus's world, silence stretched time, because in silence there is awareness. And in awareness, time expands. We chase time. We say, I don't have time, but time is always there. We just don't pay attention. For Marcus, time was a friend. He was not someone who resisted it, but someone who spoke with it. That's why he never rushed in the morning. A Stoic's minutes are not full, but deep. Today, we spend a minute on the phone, but we don't remember it. Marcus spent a minute with awareness, and that moment was engraved in eternity. Try it tomorrow morning. When the alarm rings, don't get up right away. Just sit and listen to time. No ticking, no plans. Just breath. Don't try to control time. Walk with it. Then you'll realize that time never rushes. Only you do. A minute of silence brings an hour of peace. That was Marcus Aurelius' secret. He didn't try to stop time. He was friends with time, and this friendship transformed him from a mortal body into an immortal sage. As the day ended, Rome's sky would be draped in a crimson curtain. As the city slowly fell silent, Marcus Aurelius was still awake. By the dim light of a candle, he would open his journal and write just a few lines. No long sentences, no grand words. Just a silent reckoning between a man and himself. Did I remain true to my thoughts today? Did I maintain my morning state into the evening? His day ended with these two questions every day. Because for him, night was not an end, it was a mirror. And in that mirror, he saw all the reflections of the day. The silence of the morning, the storm of the day, the calm of the evening. For Marcus, every day ended with a fresh start. He carried no victories, dragged no mistakes. When the sun set, he surrendered everything to nature, because he knew, he who holds on to today loses tomorrow. When night fell, he no longer spoke. He gave no orders, made no plans, engaged in no debates. He simply remained silent and listened to the universe. That silence was the prayer of a Stoic. I cannot change the universe's plan, but I can allow that plan to shape me. Those were his last words, and every sunset he relived those words. We start our mornings in a rush today and end our evenings exhausted. But Marcus' secret was simple. The morning silence was what won the day. The evening awareness was what honored it. So pause for a moment as the sun sets. Do nothing. Just think, did I forget myself today? If the answer is no, then you won too. Now promise yourself you'll start the day in silence from now on. If you've made that promise, like this video and subscribe. Because a Stoic's true day never ends with applause. It ends only with a quiet smile and a sincere whisper. Today, I remained faithful to nature.